This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
Welcome to the Young Wealth Show, where you'll truly learn how to make, spend, and invest money for an awesome life. Get the real-life stuff that wasn't part of your school curriculum. Young Wealth gives you innovative new ways of dealing with your finances, as well as the skills and tools you're going to need to survive and be successful out on your own. Let the Young Wealth Show be your GPS to take you from clueless to clued in. Here's your host, Jason Hartman, with Young Wealth.
It's my pleasure to welcome Aaron Muller. He is a founder of the Lifestyle Business Owner Academy, and he is a serial entrepreneur, a business broker. He owns 8 multi-million-dollar companies that run without him, the dream of every business owner. He has an eco-friendly truck washing company, a search engine optimization company, 3 auto repair shops, an auto glass franchise, a green pressure washing company, a matchmaking service. Hey, I could use that one. And an online business selling eco-friendly pet hair removers. He's the best-selling author of The Lifestyle Business Owner, How to Buy a Business, Grow Your Profits, and Make It Run Without You. Aaron, welcome. How are you?
Very good, Jason. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's good to have you, and you're coming to us today from Bellevue, Washington. Is that correct?
Correct.
Good
Over
stuff.
in Seattle area.
Yeah, good stuff. What is the secret? As we talked off air, most business owners are just buying themselves a job and it becomes this drudgery. In fact, it's a lot harder than a job. How do you really make a business run without you? And maybe, actually, I don't know, maybe we should have done this in chronological order. How do you buy it right? That's the other question. So take those in whatever order you want. But those are the 2 main focuses here.
Sure, no problem. Well, actually, most people just want to start a business, right? And so what I teach and what it's all about in the book, The Lifestyle Business Owner, is about buying a good business. And what I mean by a good business is a good foundation of some type for somebody to be able to go in there and set up the systems and make sure it's profitable enough to eventually, depending on your skill level, and I say, like, let's say a novice, it might take them 12 months, right, to put everything into place to be able to then step away from the business and have it run without them having to work in it every day. Mm-hmm. And the way you do it is, first, you want to have a business that's profitable enough, right? Because profit's going to be the key to be able to hire the right people to run your business, and that will do it the way you want to do it, and they're skilled enough. And I find that a lot of people, like business owners, they'll get into a business and they get used to living on a certain wage, and then they're afraid to pay somebody a good wage to kind of take charge of that business because they think they're going to take this big pay cut, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a process of doing that the right way and understanding that you're only taking a step back, 1 step back to take 10 steps forward. And it's kind of like, don't think about the money. Just do it the right way, and the returns are going to be, even greater than if you try to stay there doing everything yourself.
Right. But I think there's more to it than the money. I mean, wouldn't it be fair to say that, you don't know if that person, you might pay that, many entrepreneur friends have told me stories like this, so I'll just tell you what they say. Hey, I hired this CEO to run my company and he ran it into the ground. He cost me a fortune. Then I had to get rid of the guy and he sues me for unlawful termination. The real story from hell, right?
Sure.
So what about that? It's not just about paying the person. It's about hiring the right person, about, so many things. There's so many variables, right?
Totally.
So it's more than the investment in the good help. It's to some extent getting lucky, isn't it?
I agree, but here's the thing is you have to have a criteria. You have to have somebody that aligns with your values and can bring something to the table more than some skills that you don't have, right? So what I do is if I'm looking to hire somebody to run one of my businesses, I look to see that they've been in the industry, they have more knowledge in the industry I own, because I own 8 companies that I don't know a lot about, and I just got into them based on acquisitions, right? Mm-hmm. So I make sure that these people have been in the industry, their proven track record, right? So I look to see, like, there's indicators in every industry that they can bring to the table on an interview to gauge, what their level of expertise are and what you're hiring for. And then you look to see if they're a good person, right? And because I don't want to get sued either. I mean, you can get sued. It doesn't matter what the situation is. You fire somebody, anybody can sue you for any reason, right? Even if you've done nothing wrong. So you want to try to get somebody that has good integrity, right? And you got to use your own senses, obviously, when you do that, but also by having somebody who goes into that position with kind of open eyes, and they're not looking to change your business, but they're looking to kind of follow your direction. That's what I focus on. Somebody that wants a leader and doesn't want to completely change your business. And they have to see what your vision is.
Yeah. Okay.
And those are the people I look for to run my business.
Right. Okay. So look, we're getting into a whole nother area of, it's a whole nother discipline to learn how to hire right, and it's more of an art than a science probably. So I don't want to go too far afield on that, but that is one of the things that, you hear these stories where people have had bad experiences with that, of course. So is that it? Is that really the answer then? Simply buy a good business and then hire a good person to run it? Or there's got to be more to it, right?
No, yeah. What I said, like, you want to make sure that your systems are in place so this business is operating how you would want to operate it on a daily basis. So you go in there, you make sure that there's a step-by-step processes of whatever areas of the business are, and make sure that everyone's trained in those areas and they follow those. So basically, when you hire somebody with a CEO that's going to be running your business, what an owner wants to do is spend at least 5 hours a week spot checking that CEO, making sure that they're running that business the way they would run that business. And that's how you get somebody to run your business without you having to be there every day, by just having everything in place. And that's where setting it up for that first 12 months that you own that business so that it will run the way that you want it to run. And then you spot check it along the way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Makes sense. What kind of systems or software or things do you use to make this? I mean, hearing about all these businesses that you have, and they're completely different. They're not even related to each other in many ways. That just sounds like it's going to be chaos. How do you manage that? I mean, dive into some, specifics about that for our listeners, if you would.
Sure. Every industry, or not every industry, but most industries have like software that help manage that industry, right? So let's say I have an auto repair business. I have a shop management system that I can set up in place, profit margins on parts, purchase ordering, sales matrix, to make sure that, it's just being followed a certain way and there's no change that's happening from the employees. And then you run reports once a week to see the numbers. So I run a lot of my businesses based off the numbers, because the numbers tell you what's going on. And if you follow your business once a week and look at the numbers, and some businesses daily, depending on if it's an e-commerce business or something like that, you want to see what your sales are and everything, you can make changes very rapidly. So the softwares are typically built around your industry that you're in. And if there's not a software that's there, then it's about like scheduling softwares and different things like that you can implement and make sure that there's just a certain way of doing things in that business, and you just spot check what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So finding that industry's software, setting it up, paying for it, and really keeping tabs on it, right?
Exactly. Just keeping tabs on that, those indicators that you determine are important to tell you something that's going on in your business.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Makes sense. Okay, tell us more. What else do people need to know?
Obviously, you need to be able to do strategic marketing, right? And you have to be able to get sales in the door. And so as a small business owner, we have very small budgets. And I'm talking, when I say small businesses, it could be a business from $500,000 in revenues to even $5 million in revenues, right? So you have to really be aware of your budgets when you're talking about marketing. And you can hire all kinds of companies out there that'll do all sorts of plans for you and everything, but they are never thinking about saving you money. They're just thinking about getting you sales or calls or whatever they might want to, or new customers. But anybody can do that if you have a high budget. But if you really narrow down your budget it makes it harder. So you have to be very strategic. And so finding ways of bringing in the same amount of business, but not spending huge dollars to do it. And so that's something that we teach how to do in small business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the revenues are what's going to get you, better people too, because now you're going to have the revenues to be able to hire better quality people and more profits.
Right. Okay, but before we do that, tell us about some of these specific marketing techniques, if you would. I mean, that's the holy grail of every business is getting more sales in the door and doing it economically where your cost per lead is low.
So these days, SEO is a huge thing. Search engine optimization, where you rank high on Google and Bing and everything, mostly Google. But the problem with that is it's changing. That world's changing, and they're making it more paid to play, where you have to get ranking high, you have to actually pay every time somebody clicks on it. So a lot of people have started going to social media. And I think if you ignore social media in your business, you're going to be way behind in the times, because it's becoming more and more effective and reasonable marketing dollars spent. And so there's all kinds of information you can get into, like Facebook, let's just say, just like that whole scandal that went on. I mean, you can basically find out, like, people that buy, like, I have a pet hair product, right? I found people that have bought other cat products or own a cat, and they buy pet products like that, and I only market to them, and I'm spending like 16 cents a click. That's it. And that's a really effective, reasonable marketing. And that's what I'm talking about, where I could call a company up and they're going to, quote me, you're going to say $3 to $5 a click. I can't afford to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to find ways of doing it more efficiently. So digital marketing is really the key to doing that, but you have to not ignore things like direct marketing, your customer base that is already buying from you, just market to them. And that's just so simple, but a lot of people don't do it. Mm-hmm. So they've actually been in your place and they'll buy from you again.
Right. Okay. Let's take a step back now. We're going in reverse order here. Let's talk about buying a business. How do you determine what business to buy? Where do you find the businesses? There are all these, business broker websites, or, you can get a business broker like yourself. You can go to one of these websites. I don't want to say they're broker websites because they're not really broker websites. They're just platforms where people list businesses for sale. And you can just spend forever looking around, and it seems as though they're all kind of overpriced. What do you do to find one? Where do you look? Tell us that first. Where's the best place to look?
Sure. I go to the best website is BizBuySell or businessbroker.net, mm-hmm. BizBuySell.com or businessbroker.net. And
I've been there.
They have hundreds of businesses, and you're totally right. A lot of them are overpriced. You don't know if you believe what's going on them or anything, right? You can get information. It's not what it says, right? So I tell people when you're looking to buy a business, what you want to do is first determine how much money you have to make, not how much you want to make, right? So the reason you do that is because everybody wants to make $1 million, but you have to narrow it down, because there's some really good businesses out there that might not be there yet and they haven't been developed. And so you can do that. And then also you're going to only have so much money you have to invest in a business yourself. So I always say, find out how much you have to make and start there. And then understand that it takes about between 10 and 25% down to buy a business. So if you figure out the numbers first, and then you can understand what you can afford and what you can live on, and then you narrow down those kind of businesses that are displaying those types of numbers and everything out there on the market. But when it comes down to like what type of business you want to own, I try to recommend people get into something that they could use their skill set. So if I've never owned a restaurant, I know nothing about the business, I've never worked in a restaurant, I don't want to buy a restaurant, I don't want to buy a bar, but a lot of people do because it sounds sexy, right? I don't recommend doing that unless you've been in those industries. But if you, let's say, are a great marketer or salesperson, there are so many industries, service industries, manufacturing businesses. You can get into any one of those because you just bring that skill set to the table and hire the experts around you. Mm-hmm. So it just has to fit the numbers first, because I always say, don't buy your hobby. If you love flowers, don't buy flowers, because if that business doesn't do well, you're going to hate flowers and now you never want to touch them again. So find something that makes sense.
Okay. What do we do? So go to these websites that you mentioned, figure out how much money you want to make or need to make, and then what? How do you structure the offer? I mean, there's just no limit to the amount of choices and ways you can do it. That's why I wish someone would write a book about, the way the sharks do it on Shark Tank, for example. And of course, that's different than what we're talking about, because that's where you invest in a business versus buying it outright. But, there seems to be certain patterns to the way they figure out how to structure deals. Is there some sort of formula? I mean, there are multiple, certain earnings multiples and customary in certain industries. I know that, of course, but there's a million ways you can slice and dice that. You could pay all now, you can do payments, you can do an earnout, you can do a note, you can do an equity, profit share. It just goes on forever.
I say that the larger the deal, the more creative it gets. Okay. So the smaller the deal, the more likely that you're going to go in there and you're going to put a substantial down payment down, and the bank's going to finance the rest of it. Maybe the seller will finance 10% of it, and you just buy it outright and you move on, because a lot of times you don't want the seller to stay there. I mean, they're just going to disrupt you taking that business to the level you want to be there at. And, their heart's not in it. They're going to be trying to tell you what they think you should do. And so you just want to get them out. But let's just say a larger deal, then you get maybe a little more creative. But the reason why people do earnouts a lot of times is they're trying to sell a business for more than it's worth. So what happens is a buyer will say, okay, I'll give you that $3 million for the business, but I want to see X amount of profit in this business. And so you need to stick around for the next 2 years to help me get there. Mm-hmm. It's like golden handcuffs, right. And it's not a good deal for the sellers a lot of times. And buyers, sometimes it's harder to get cooperation in the whole process once they've owned the business, because this person wants to be out. I mean, they've decided they wanted to sell their business for a reason. They don't want to stay there and try to build it for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then a lot of times they don't hit the number, and then they don't get their earnout.
Mm-hmm. All right. Makes sense. I can see where that psychology would come into play for sure. Is there anything else you want to tell people about doing this? Are there any standardized forms, or is it, sort of the forms that the local board of realtors has for business opportunities, and those will probably not be very good, I'm guessing, or standardized forms you can buy online or get from a software package, or do you have to go hire a lawyer each time and go through huge lawyer bills, and, you don't even know if you'll get anything that good half the time either. So what do you do for the documents, the contract?
I'd say go through a business broker. It's going to be a lot easier. Don't try to do this on your own. It is kind of complicated, and it can get complicated. So you just want to have a good understanding. And that's why in the book I talk about just kind of the process of it all, so that you at least understand what the broker's talking to you about. So kind of going back on what I was telling you on the website, you find businesses that have interest to you. Now you reach out to those businesses, and usually a broker has them listed. And then that's when you start meeting brokers, and you decide which one fits your personality and will be a good broker for you, right? And then they're going to be able to help you through the process of structuring the deal, how you might want to do it, helping you get financing, helping you find a good business, even matching you. If it's like a matchmaking service, right? If you get a good broker, they're going to listen to you. And then they're going to say, you know what, just from talking to you and your background, your past experience of everything, I think this business would be really good for you. They're going to help you do that. I mean, I didn't know I wanted to buy an auto repair shop back in 2000. I was not in the mechanic business at all. And a broker said, Aaron, I think he kind of knew me and everything. And he said, I got a business for you. And I thought he was crazy, but it was the best business I ever bought.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, good. Good to hear. Okay, great. Give out your website. Tell people where they can find out more.
All right, they can go to lifestylebusinessowner.com, and they can get like 4 free training videos if they go there, or lboacademy.com.
Good stuff. Aaron Muller, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.